Good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Moaz for what will be your last opportunity to hear one of the residents speaking about their particular passion for words in this venue. We had two more Passion for Words events lined up that will both take place in the library on Saturday as part of the book fair. I think maybe there will only be one of those now, and that will be Ivo's talk on Saturday afternoon. But today, is the chance for me to have a little bit of a conversation with Rhian. Rhian Elizabeth is a practitioner in the language arts, and I'm going to keep those things open now as we've moved into towards the end of the festival. And the residents have become, I think, more fluid about their disciplines. Rhian has a novel published by Seren Books and a collection of poetry released just this week in Sweden by Parthian Books. I think we're lucky in a sense that we are coming to the end of the week and we have the opportunity to talk about things with reference points from the talks that have been given by all the other residents during the course of the week. So I've always wanted to be a chat show host. I had this this great concept idea of interviewing famous people in the shower, but back in those, we didn't have GoPros in those days. But hey, maybe we'll get back there. But I'm going to try not to, honestly, and I'm going to let Rhi lead the session because it's her passion for words. So you pick up your mic and go for it, Rhi.
Where should we start? My passion for words, I guess. I've never been good at expressing my feelings, so writing has always been my way of expressing myself. Through lots of difficult things in my life. My dad died when I was very young and couldn't really talk about it to anyone else, so I kind of wrote about it. So it's always been my way out, I guess. And I was diagnosed with MS 2 years ago, and writing has been, again, it saved me again, a way to express what I'm going through. And hopefully in a humorous way, which I like to find humour in everything.
So, I mean, in that sense, writing has always been a very solitary occupation for you, and that has perhaps changed this week when you've been collaborating with other people. But I was thinking about MS. You say you were diagnosed with MS only 2 years ago, so that's a new thing to you. It's not something you lived with before, not something you were aware of.
No, it's weird because I was ill for a very long time. I just didn't know what I had, So it's just got a name now. It's just got a name. It's got the name MS. So there's no difference really. It's just got a name. And in a way, it's been easier to deal with, knowing what you have, and then being able to sort of process it, deal with it, and get on with things. Yeah.
But you deal with that diagnosis through your writing. But you don't write. There is certain writing that's connected to MS, connected to disability, and there are certain aspects of that writing that are not just solitary now because you organise a group. So your writing practice has become part of the community. So
very much like Eleanor says, storytelling is like therapeutic. And of course, writing has been very therapeutic for me, so I thought, set up a group and hopefully help other people, and two friends of mine, one's another writer and the other's a psychotherapist, so we set up this group for people with long-term health conditions, which range from mental health conditions to people with terminal cancer, And I didn't want to create a space where you just go there and sort of talk about your illness and how horrible it is, and I want to create something positive, so we make something out of it, and trying to find humour, trying to find light in dark, to laugh about things.
So not everybody writes about their condition. Some people write about different things, and they're not always there because of their condition. You're looking for other things. You're looking for other things to deal with. So here's a one. Do you think there's such a thing as disability literature? And if there is, what would that be?
I hate the term disability, disabled. This sounds like, disappointed, disgusting. It's like a negative word. I prefer the word sick. My daughter would say that's sick. It's really cool. So I like to say I'm sick. Yeah, I'm sick. I'm not actually that familiar with the world that I found myself in, disability writing really. I'd like to think that there shouldn't be a category. It should just be about everyone's experience. I mean, I bet everyone in here has got some sort of health condition, whether that's a mental health problem or a physical problem, So yeah, I'm not really well read in the world of disability writing. Perhaps you've got more of experience in that sense.
Okay. Well, I'll say no. I can't find it. I can't find disability writing or disabled writing as a genre. But I think it's...
You've got writers like Joan Didion has MS, for example,
yeah,
which is not that well known, but she writes about it, but that's not just her main thing, She's a writer, and she happens to write about MS because it's a part of her life. As I write about being a mother, I write about being gay, It's just something that I go through.
Yeah.
And I don't set out to sort of specifically talk about it. It's just something that I go through, as in being a mother, being ill, It's all the same thing. It's just my life.
Yeah.
So I don't like to put it in a box.
Yeah. But I mean, there certainly is a genre, gay literature. I mean, certainly women's literature, and I think it's a difficult one to deal with, because if I, in a very Swedish sense, take you to the law. Let's go to the 2010 Equality Act, and people in the UK have 7 protected characteristics, which will include their race, their religion, their gender reassignment, a disability. So all these things, people are protected. So you can't discriminate against somebody because they're a man. You can't discriminate against somebody because they're a woman. You can't discriminate against somebody because they're old. You can't discriminate against somebody because they're young. All these things are illegal. You can't discriminate against somebody who is disabled. But there is no protection for anybody who is not disabled. So it's a very odd situation to be in. When you talk about there is no other to the disabled. You either are, and therefore there is this protection under law, or you're not. And well, I'll just talk. Just say sorry. I am taking it over right there. I'm just going to talk very briefly about the social model of disability, which is where my heart lies, and it's in the sense that I like the word disabled, differently to Rhi, because there is something of an identity about it. There is something of a political movement about it and about rights. What I don't like is disability. Disability is fine as the term. That's what we're talking about now. But people don't have disabilities. Just as Rhi was saying now, MS is part of you. You've learned that's what you have. I have blue eyes. Dana has dark hair. These are all things, these are all characteristics, these are what make up our identity. And some people have long-term conditions, some people have no legs, some people have anxiety, some people have other mental conditions or physical conditions, but they don't own those conditions, they don't own a disability. They're not disabled because of that condition, they're disabled by the way society treats them. So if we talk about people with disabilities, then we're isolating those people. We're saying that's a certain type of people. If we talk about disabled people, then they will be disabled people until we take the barriers away. And I think that's the thing. So I would be happy to identify as disabled because society puts up barriers. If I have no legs, that's not my disability. The fact that society doesn't build ramps is how society disables me, and society disables lots of people. And as long as we're inclusive in our society, then we'll remove the term disabled. We won't even need a term then.
Yeah. I didn't realise until I was quite ignorant, really. I didn't realise how hard it is for a disabled person to navigate just in the normal world, And I'd like to think that our group is for people with long-term health conditions, and we wouldn't need to set it up, but we have to because. For example, here there's stairs and there's steps, so we have someone in a wheelchair, they can't access this writing group if it was here, or there has to be a toilet nearby for somebody with sort of bowel problems. So as you say, the world it's going to take a while for it to adjust, I think, so that we have more sort of open minds about disability, and that we're all catered for.
Is Rhian's mic okay? No.
No.
No. Okay, I think we should share this one. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody should have shouted earlier. Yeah. I'm gonna, because I've lost my train of thought now, but I'm gonna pass the mic back to you, and you're gonna use the poem, I guess.
So I'll try and do a humorous one. I had some bowel problems, so I tried to make a funny poem out of it. Shitting yourself isn't funny at the time, but somebody shitting themselves, it is quite funny, yeah? So just find some humour in it. This is paraphilic infantilism. I had to buy adult nappies. I saw it on the computer. My neurologist tapped his pen on the screen. There it is, he said, so matter of fact. A scar on your spinal cord, an unusually big one, thin and long as a snake. I was angry for a while. I'd never lost control of anything before. This kind of thing isn't supposed to happen to someone in their 20s. Only old people shit themselves, and babies. Who could ever find such a person attractive? You said you didn't care, you love me, whatever, but still. I looked it up on the internet. There are people who dress up like babies and fuck. I've never been into that kind of stuff before. Maybe now is a good time to start. I haven't gone into that yet. Looking into it. I'll do another one. They say there is always someone worse off than you. Show them to me. I'd like to invite them into my apartment for a cup of tea, an arm wrestle, to truly decide which one of us is worse off. And if they have no arm to wrestle with, unlike me, who is lucky to have an arm, that only occasionally decides to seize up in pain, lifeless for a day or more, then fair enough, and admit defeat and give them a prize, a biscuit to go with the tea, congratulations, and ask them, how does it feel, stealing my thunder? What are you gonna...
No. I was just going to say something actually, because I think you've gone into a new world, and everybody needs to learn from this process, because you're learning, and we can share that. Because it just made me think, the first poem, you're in the supermarket, and people get annoyed. Non-disabled people get annoyed all the time about the number of disabled parking spaces, or the fact that there's a disabled toilet, and you might be in the supermarket and you think, oh, that one's busy, I'm going to go in the disabled toilet. You're not disabled, and you might think, well, that's okay, because there's not a disabled person here at the moment. And then Rhian comes down the aisle, and you look at that person and you see this cute girl with tattoos and a pair of shorts and walking down the aisle, and she goes into the toilet, and you make judgment to say, well, hang on, why is that person going in there? She's not got a wheelchair, I say, because she could fucking shit herself in the aisle. That's why, but you can't see that. So we just, you just need to have that tolerance,
Being disabled is great, because you get the best seats on the bus, you get all that space, with the car, you can stretch out in the toilet, you've got all that space, it's brilliant, yeah. So it has its advantages as well. But yeah, as you say, invisible disabilities are a tricky one. As you say, you look at me, I don't look disabled, I haven't got a wheelchair, and I've had many a conversation. I've been sat in a disabled seat, and some old lady said, oh, you shouldn't be sitting here. And I said, well, I'm actually very sick, It's yeah, so maybe have a badge or something, or a T-shirt printed saying, please give me your seat. I may shit myself at some point. Yeah. You can read some
okay.
mental health kind of things.
I guess mental health is a far more hidden disability indeed. Yeah. So I work with disabled students in the university where I am, and just those figures. I was talking to somebody the other day. I work in a metropolitan university, so there are 4 campuses around Swansea. We have about 4,000 students enrolled, and yeah, well, we have a certain cohort who are disabled. We have a certain number of disabled students among those 4,000. So, does anybody fancy giving me a figure of how many of those 4,000 students you think are disabled?
1,000.
10? 1,000? Half? 200? It's Frigg is the closest. 900 of our students enrolled to 4,000 identify as disabled, and you know that's a huge number of people, and they range from SPLDs, dyspraxia, people being on the autistic spectrum somewhere, visually impaired and hearing impaired, sensory impaired, mobility issues. But yeah, 20% of the population is disabled, and it's a huge number of people. And we, you know, those who are not disabled, and there probably aren't that many of us in here who aren't, then we just need some to be inclusive. So this is called Writing an Image. It's written in the voice of one of the students I met very early on, and I wasn't in the best place in the world at the time, just having been close to being redundant and getting this new position, and so this is for Joseph, and this is in his voice. I have to stand up, and it made me think of who was the drummer, Frankie the drummer. It made me think of the pain worm that she had, you know. So this is for Joseph. I step back, always one step back to take 3 steps forward. Step back. But I am rushing in and live. Did I step forward, or did I settle delicately, unbalanced, superfluous and redundant to those who now soar high and free above? I am trying to capture a moment, and nature defines life, and life constricts with its uniformity and thick inked structure. Is the quill mightier than the thorn? From the inner recesses, I step back. I am numbed by mundane. I need to see the beauty from the inspired inside, need to feel the intricate prick of the magnified beauty of an unnatural construction. I step back, fragile. The mind pain is strong, full of red and puzzling, swirling purples. I want a simple grey scale, scaled up, zoomed in, turbo zoom. Freedom slips the constrained tangles, brambles, coils, and cultivates. Existence strangles art and stops. I am within, and culture continues to grow around me, outside me. I've taken that step back, and I know I've done a good thing. Let me move forward. But it's too late. I am something gone in a moment that survives. Would it have been beautiful?
To go back to the writing thing as therapy, I mean, for me, it feels like self-harm for me. I kind of like bleed my poems onto the page, so that's what it feels like. I guess I never self-harmed, but I guess the relief you get from cutting yourself is how I feel after writing a poem about, you know, certain pain that I'm going through, and much healthier, obviously. But yeah, and I like to think that becoming ill has made me a better person. I wouldn't have written this book. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't got MS, you know. And so I'm I guess I'm more understanding and empathetic towards other people, you know, and their issues and problems. Where perhaps before I didn't even think about it. You know, I think we're all probably guilty of that at times. Yeah, the writing has been a massive help, and our group friends are very helpful as well. And we just sit there and we chat for an hour, to be honest. We have a good chat and a laugh, and then we come up with something amazing at the end of it, you know, and everyone goes away feeling better. And we don't say we're therapy, of course not, because that's a dangerous thing to do, you know. But you go to the doctor these days and they just throw drugs at you. Yeah, I'm depressed, oh, you some drugs, you know. And the side effects can be horrible. I always find it funny, on the back of antidepressants it says it may create suicidal thoughts. You know, and it's on the back of them all, you know, and it's. So I think there's things you can do to help your own mental health and physical health, obviously, and everyone goes away from the group and feels like they've achieved something out of their pain, which I think is important for me, to make something out of it. Otherwise, it's just wasted. Otherwise, whether that's helping other people or making something out of it yourself. Yeah. And you find that as well when you're writing about your various.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there any more overt pain in any of your any of your poems?
Yeah, lots of stories about women, lots of pain there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, let's can we have one of those then?
Yeah.
Can we have one of those? Yeah.
The back of the book says some poems about being sick and being in love, because I think they're like the same thing. You know, you're fact when you're sick, when you're in love, you're just not going to end well, is it? Either way. So, right. What happens to love when it dies? You can't give it a funeral. You can't stand up at a lectern and tell everyone in the church how loved love was. You can't bury it. It has no body. What happens to love when it leaves? Because you can't write it a song like Joan Baez, who wrote Diamonds and Rust, all about her long-lost love calling her from somewhere out in the Midwest. Love has no record player. There is no mobile signal where love has gone. What happens to love when it hurts you? You can't take your revenge by lighting a bonfire and throwing in all the photographs you and love took. Sure, you could write a list of all the things love did wrong to you and read it over to remind yourself that you were better off alone. There is no reason to attempt to put all of this in an angry letter and send it in the mail, because love does not have a postal address, only email. Love is moving on and has no time to read your self-pity. I sent the email to love anyway, and love wrote me back. In bold and black, love said, "Stop messaging me."
Okay, well, I hope this has been fairly conversational so far. I know Rhian and I are looking at each other, and we said we'll talk to each other. We won't talk to the audience. And we're kind of here looking at each other, talking to the audience. Are you listening to me? I don't know. I'm talking to them. So yeah, let's. Has anybody got any questions? Bring other people into the conversation.
You told us that you started to write poems when you first were a child. How old were you when you started?
So the question was, how old was Rhi when she started to write poetry?
Well, no, I only started writing poetry like last year. When I was ill, the poems just came out, but I've always written since I was young, and I think it was that first buzz, writing a story. You handed it in to the teacher saying, "Oh, this is great." So I always wanted that buzz, to somebody to say, "This is great," and yeah, I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't do anything else, but I always had some good feedback on my weird little stories when I was younger. So yeah.
So you had that to lean on.
Always.
In life.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As I said, it's helped me through so many things, writing about it, whether it's a diary when I was younger or poems now. So, yeah.
Rhian can dance. There are photos from last night. So, another question?
Rhian, do you have a work ethic? Do you go to work on the poems, or do you wait for it to land?
They just kind of come out on the bus usually, and then they're in like a draft on my phone. Then I go home and sort of tidy them up on my computer, and yeah.
So you don't do shift work?
No. I'm a really lazy writer. My friend said, "I've written 10,000 words today," and I'm like, I've written 10 words today. So that's a good day for me if I've written 10 words. Would you like a love one or a happy, sad?
Oh wait, I have a question. When you get idea for poetry or words, do you keep it in your head, or do you grab a napkin and write?
Yeah, or my phone usually. In the middle of the night, I think this is a really good poem. I must write it down. And the next morning, it's like, that's not a very good poem yet. This is the best Christmas ever. We're watching old movies on the new TV your mother got you. Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston. The apes aren't as realistic as the ones you see in the new adaptations, and neither are the spaceships, but I much prefer the classics. Christmas is still lingering in that warm way it does. Your reindeer lights sparkle, hung like bunting across the bookshelf, and there's a lot of cheese left on the wooden board. Yesterday you threw our tree over in your temper, all the baubles shattered, spraying a glass blizzard on the floor. You said I drank too much, and the gifts I got you weren't fucking good enough, but this is still the best Christmas ever. Yeah, lesbian relationships, you know. Christmas trees, baubles everywhere. Yeah. A satellite message to the Earth from the moon. Neil Armstrong came to visit me on a rocket ship back in the 60s. He took off his helmet and said that you'd been wondering how I felt underfoot and in your lungs. Some say it never happened, that it was staged in a top secret movie studio somewhere real secluded back in the USA. But he did come. He took some of my rocks away for examination, my gifts to you like diamonds and pearls. He brought along a message scribbled on the back of the Star-Spangled Banner. The message said that you had claimed me for your own, that he went and rammed it into my surface, like an arrow through my hard, volcanic heart.
We've been through a couple of really important elements of your identity in your gender and your condition, but a massive thing also, of course, is Scout.
Yeah.
And how does Scout deal with MS?
It's a strange one because when I was younger, my dad was very ill, so I kind of always, maybe that's why I have such a laid-back attitude about being ill myself, because it's just been a normal thing for me, and people just get on with it. You're ill, you just get on with it, But you do have that guilt when you've got a child, the things I can't do, or she has to do extra things, and we can't go here because I'm feeling really bad today, So but she's 12, so she's very unhelpful. She doesn't do anything to help me around the house. She makes my stress isn't good for MS, so yeah, she doesn't help my condition at all. But no, she does. She's. It's hard to explain it to a 12-year-old child. But we moved to Cardiff, and funnily enough, her best friend, her dad has got MS, so they have that to talk about, amongst themselves. So yeah, it's just the guilt of being ill, and maybe not being able to do things. But we just has to get on with it, That's our life, unfortunately, and yeah. So she's not helpful at all.
Okay, well, I will give a poem, Rhi, and I'm just going to touch on that guilt actually, as you because that's that's part of it as well, isn't it? And it will have an impact upon those feelings of guilt, so unfair upon parents, and that will have an impact upon your well-being and.
She does like that we can get a disabled pass. The disabled pass gets us to the front of queues and stuff. So she likes that. Can use that. And use a disabled toilet. She likes to take advantage of that. And
Okay, I'm going to read another poem, and this poem is called Troll. I read it about nearly 2 weeks ago now. We were in the residency. We were gathered around the table, and there was an event very like Pilsner Poesy that was taking place in Carmarthen, Poems and Pints of the Queens, and we Skyped in from the residency. So we all sat around the kitchen table, and we read poems to each other. Really, we were sharing with each other, but we were connected at the time to a big screen back in Wales. So everybody else had part of that then, and I read this poem then, and I'm going to read it again now because I think it probably has different meanings for people since, particularly after hearing the wonderful collaboration last night between Eleanor, Mahir and Rhian.
Know what half the people's conditions are. We don't sort of, people to bring their medical records in so we can make sure they're disabled enough to join us, So it's not like so it's just kind of a laid back. It's like people who enjoy writing, and sometimes we write about things we're going through and we can have a laugh about it because it's a safe space. We all appreciate each other's, we're all there because we have some issues of some sort, so we haven't got to explain, or today I might be feeling a bit tired, or today I'm not going to be able to get up those stairs or whatever. You haven't got to explain anything because we're all on the same page rather than a pen. But,
I love that identification because it's absolutely moving away from the medical definition. There's no need for papers to say this, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. I mean, those people identify as disabled, they're all there, and if there's anybody there who is not disabled but is identified as disabled, well, yeah, they probably are, because there's something going on in their heads that needs talking about as well, isn't it? You know, so.
I don't know why you'd want to join a disabled group if you were disabled. It's not cool to be disabled, or maybe it is gay and disabled. I'm very cool. Yeah, tick all the boxes. Any more questions or?
I have another one.
Yeah.
A question about we've been working together on the collaboration.
Yeah, it's funny. We both come from Wales and travel to Sweden to work with a Welsh writer who lives like half an hour down the road.
But yeah, how do you feel about that? And I was sort of saying about you know writers and storytellers and poets. We're all very isolated in the way we work. And do you feel that it's kind of got positive?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we're learning from each other, and you can teach me things about, performance, and maybe I help you with the crafting of the stories and things, and it's just been nice to spend time with like-minded people, and we've made something. We've made something out of the things we were feeling. We were feeling guilt, we were feeling pain, we were feeling homesick, and we were feeling excited, and we made something out of it. So, it's really good. We drank a lot of whiskey, but we have done some work as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you find it, when you first, you were writing poetry, but you first started sharing it with people, because you talk about such personal things, was that really difficult?
No, it's not. I love talking about myself, yeah. Yeah, she's asked if I found it difficult sharing personal things, like, obviously talking about health-wise stuff. No, I don't. Maybe that's just me, but it's nice to get it off your chest and just to say it, and people laugh sometimes, yeah, it's nice. It's a relief to talk about it, actually. I think people should talk about these things so they're not taboo. You should be able to talk about, nasty things then maybe if we have these conversations, it won't be such a need for disabled, and, we need to talk about it as if it's absolutely normal, Yeah. Like it's a cold or it's an illness. We want to not talk about having a cold or, a cough or something, It's just, we should talk about things, absolutely.
You read a lot?
I actually don't read that much. I'm a terrible writer, yeah. No, I used to read a lot as a child. But yeah, I do read. I'm just being, yeah. Linda Pastan is my favourite poet. She's an American poet, and she's really good. And I should look into disabled writing more, I guess. It's not there, no. It's not a shelf. No.
I'm just asking for more questions, that's all. And if there aren't any, then I'd like Rhian to give us one more poem to close. Would you do my favourite?
I won't do that one, I'll do the...
Yes. Don was judging a competition I entered. We didn't know each other at this point, and it was anonymous judging, obviously, and I had the runner-up prize. He didn't pick me as first place, so I'm really forgiving him for that. But this is the last poem in the collection, and it's called MS. I know, really inventive title. When the shock and the anger goes, when you have neatly organised all your pills into daily boxes and made your peace with those 2 letters that will follow you around for the rest of your life like a stalker, you realise you are still the same person. No one read that poem, the one you always wanted read at your funeral, the one by Larkin, not the really famous one, the one about the dream he has of someone he used to know and how the things he'd forgotten about him come back to him, like letters to someone who left the house years ago. No one read it because you never died. In fact, perhaps this is your chance to start over again.
Yeah, good choice.
Tack så mycket, Rhian. Diolch yn fawr. Right, we're coming up to 2:45. The next event will be down in Netherlands.